Circadian alignment and light exposure are foundational to vitality and health because they regulate nearly every physiological system in the body. The brain contains a master clock called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, located in the hypothalamus, which uses light information from the eyes to coordinate daily rhythms in hormone secretion, body temperature, sleep-wake cycles, and metabolism. Exposure to natural sunlight in the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking provides a strong signal to this clock, increasing morning cortisol in a controlled, predictable pattern that enhances alertness, focus, and energy. This signal also helps to synchronize peripheral clocks in tissues like the liver, heart, and muscles, ensuring that metabolic processes occur at the optimal time of day. Without proper light input in the morning, the brain's internal timing can drift, leading to misaligned hormone rhythms, impaired sleep quality, reduced energy, and suboptimal metabolic function. Light exposure influences melatonin, the hormone responsible for regulating sleep and promoting cellular repair during the night. Morning sunlight suppresses melatonin appropriately, signaling to the brain that it is daytime, and allows melatonin levels to rise naturally in the evening, promoting restorative sleep. Disruption of this pattern, particularly through exposure to artificial blue light from screens at night, delays melatonin production, reduces sleep quality, and impairs recovery. Poor circadian alignment can lead to fragmented sleep, increased fatigue, impaired cognitive performance, and dysregulated metabolism. Over time, chronic circadian disruption is associated with elevated risk for cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and immune dysfunction. The timing and intensity of light are crucial. Outdoor sunlight, which can reach tens of thousands of lux, is far more effective at resetting the circadian clock than indoor lighting, which typically provides only a fraction of that intensity. Even on cloudy days, exposure to natural light provides sufficient signal to maintain circadian rhythms. Consistency in light exposure is also important. Irregular patterns of light and darkness can confuse the master clock and destabilize hormone rhythms. Ideally, light exposure should occur at roughly the same time each morning, reinforcing the body's predictable internal schedule. Circadian alignment also influences other behaviors that impact health. Hormone rhythms dictate appetite, glucose metabolism, and energy expenditure. Cortisol, which peaks in the morning, supports mobilization of energy stores and cognitive readiness, while melatonin in the evening prepares the body for sleep and recovery. Misalignment can lead to cravings, insulin resistance, and reduced mitochondrial efficiency, reducing overall vitality. Proper circadian timing also enhances cardiovascular function, as blood pressure and heart rate follow predictable daily patterns regulated by the master clock. Disruption of these rhythms increases cardiovascular strain and elevates risk for heart-related events. Behavioral strategies to optimize circadian alignment include morning sunlight exposure, limiting artificial light in the evening, and maintaining regular sleep and wake times. Additional support can come from timed exercise, which can reinforce the circadian clock, and from strategic meal timing, which aligns metabolic processes with light-driven signals. Even small deviations from natural light patterns can shift rhythms, but consistent attention to circadian cues has profound effects on energy, mood, cognitive function, and long-term health. By prioritizing light exposure and circadian alignment, the body's systems can operate efficiently, optimizing vitality at both the cellular and systemic levels. Nutrition and metabolic optimization are central to sustaining vitality and overall health because the body's energy systems, hormonal balance, and cellular function all depend on the quality and timing of the nutrients you consume. Energy availability is not just about calories. It's about the precise nutrients that support neurotransmitter synthesis, muscle maintenance, organ function, and mitochondrial efficiency. Consuming adequate protein early in the day is particularly important, as it provides the amino acids necessary for building and repairing tissues, producing hormones like dopamine and serotonin, and supporting lean muscle mass, which is a major determinant of metabolic rate. Without sufficient protein, both physical and cognitive performance can be compromised, and the body's ability to sustain energy throughout the day diminishes. Complex carbohydrates are critical for stable glucose availability and efficient energy delivery to both muscles and the brain. Simple sugars may provide rapid energy, but often lead to spikes and crashes in blood sugar, which can impair cognitive focus, mood regulation, and endurance. Pairing carbohydrates with protein and healthy fats slows digestion, reduces glucose spikes, and supports longer-lasting energy. Healthy fats, such as omega-3 fatty acids, play additional roles in cellular membrane integrity, hormone production, and anti-inflammatory signaling, which are all necessary for maintaining both vitality and long-term health. Adequate fat intake also supports brain function, as the brain is approximately 60% fat and relies on specific fatty acids for optimal neurotransmission. Hydration is another fundamental aspect of metabolic optimization. Water is essential for blood volume maintenance, thermoregulation, nutrient transport, and cognitive function. Even mild dehydration can reduce physical performance, increase perceived exertion during exercise, and impair attention, memory, and decision-making. Electrolyte balance, particularly sodium, potassium, and magnesium, further supports muscular contractions, nerve signaling, and cardiovascular function, all of which are essential components of vitality. Meal timing and intermittent fasting strategies also interact with metabolism and energy regulation. Time-restricted feeding, for example, aligns nutrient intake with circadian rhythms, improving insulin sensitivity and mitochondrial function. Limiting food intake to an 8-10 hour window during daylight hours can promote autophagy, a cellular recycling process that clears damaged proteins and supports longevity. Autophagy is critical for maintaining mitochondrial health, reducing oxidative stress, and enhancing overall metabolic efficiency. Consistently applying these timing strategies helps the body optimize energy use rather than storing excess energy as fat, which contributes to better body composition and endurance. Micronutrient sufficiency is equally important. Vitamins and minerals like B complex, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, and iron are cofactors in metabolic pathways, hormone production, and energy synthesis. Deficiencies in these nutrients can compromise vitality by reducing mitochondrial output, impairing neurotransmitter balance, and lowering overall resilience to stress. Including a variety of whole foods such as vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and lean proteins ensures that these critical cofactors are available to support both daily function and long-term health. In addition, nutrition affects the gut-brain axis, which plays a major role in energy, mood, and cognitive function. A healthy microbiome supports nutrient absorption, produces metabolites that influence neurotransmitter activity, and modulates inflammation. Diets high in fiber, prebiotics, and probiotics enhance gut health, which in turn strengthens metabolic efficiency and overall vitality. By combining adequate protein, healthy fats, complex carbohydrates, micronutrient sufficiency, hydration, and strategic meal timing, the body's metabolic systems operate at peak efficiency. These practices maintain stable energy levels, optimize brain function, support hormonal balance, and enhance resilience, creating a foundation for both immediate vitality and long-term health outcomes. Stress management and nervous system regulation are critical components of vitality and overall health because chronic stress has widespread effects on nearly every physiological system. When the sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system is overactivated, cortisol and other stress hormones remain elevated, suppressing immune function, impairing sleep, reducing metabolic efficiency, and decreasing mental clarity. In contrast, a well-regulated nervous system balances sympathetic activation with parasympathetic recovery, promoting resilience, energy, and optimal organ function. Effective stress management is therefore not just about feeling calm. It directly impacts the body's capacity to perform, repair, and sustain vitality. One of the most accessible ways to regulate the nervous system is through controlled breathing. Techniques such as slow diaphragmatic breathing, box breathing, or alternate nostril breathing stimulate the vagus nerve, which increases parasympathetic activity and reduces heart rate and cortisol levels. These interventions can be applied both reactively to calm acute stress and proactively to maintain baseline nervous system balance throughout the day. Even short sessions of controlled breathing can shift the autonomic nervous system from a chronic sympathetic dominant state into a more balanced state, improving focus, recovery, and emotional resilience. Cold exposure is another potent method for nervous system regulation. Brief exposure to cold water or cold air activates the sympathetic system acutely, releasing norepinephrine and improving alertness, focus, and vascular tone. Following the initial sympathetic activation, the parasympathetic system responds, promoting recovery and resilience. Regular cold exposure has been shown to reduce inflammation, enhance immune function, and improve the body's ability to handle stress, making it a valuable tool for both mental and physical vitality. Mindfulness, meditation, and other forms of deliberate attention training also play a key role in stress regulation. These practices engage top-down cortical control, allowing the prefrontal cortex to modulate limbic system activity, which reduces reactivity to stressors. Consistent meditation practice has been associated with lower baseline cortisol, improved heart rate variability, and enhanced cognitive flexibility. The combination of physiological and neurological regulation supports both energy levels and long-term health by reducing the allostatic load, the cumulative wear and tear on the body caused by chronic stress. Novelty and controlled exposure to challenging but manageable stressors can enhance resilience through a hormetic effect. When the body is exposed to intermittent stressors, whether through cold, exercise, or cognitive challenges, it adapts by improving physiological efficiency, stress tolerance, and recovery capacity. This principle demonstrates that not all stress is harmful. Rather, strategic and controlled stress can strengthen the nervous system and enhance vitality. Lifestyle factors also influence stress regulation. Adequate sleep, circadian alignment, balanced nutrition, and social support all modulate autonomic balance. Poor sleep, nutrient deficiencies, or social isolation increase sympathetic tone and limit the ability to recover from daily stressors. Conversely, consistent routines that prioritize recovery, supportive relationships, and positive environmental cues amplify parasympathetic function and reduce chronic stress signaling. Ultimately, stress management is about optimizing the balance between challenge and recovery. By engaging in techniques that modulate both sympathetic and parasympathetic activity, the nervous system becomes more flexible and resilient. This flexibility allows individuals to respond effectively to environmental demands, maintain high levels of energy and focus, support immune and metabolic function, and prevent the negative health consequences associated with chronic stress. A well-regulated nervous system is therefore not just a mental or emotional advantage. It is a biological foundation for vitality and long-term health. Sleep quality and recovery are foundational pillars of vitality and health because they allow the body and brain to repair, restore, and optimize function. During sleep, multiple physiological systems coordinate to consolidate memory, regulate hormones, and perform critical cellular maintenance. Deep, slow-wave sleep, in particular, is essential for growth hormone release, which supports muscle repair, tissue regeneration, and metabolic regulation. It is also during this stage that the glymphatic system, the brain's waste clearance network, becomes highly active, removing metabolic byproducts and neurotoxins that accumulate during wakefulness. Without sufficient high-quality sleep, cognitive function, emotional regulation, immune defense, and energy metabolism all decline, directly reducing vitality. Circadian alignment plays a central role in sleep quality. The body's internal clock regulates melatonin production, core body temperature, and sleep-wake cycles, and proper alignment ensures that sleep occurs at the biologically optimal time. Morning exposure to natural light sets the clock for the day, while dimming lights and avoiding blue light in the evening signal the brain that it is time for rest. Irregular sleep schedules, late-night screen exposure, or shift work disrupt these rhythms, delaying sleep onset, reducing slow-wave and REM sleep, and impairing restorative processes. Maintaining consistent bed and wake times reinforces the circadian system, supporting both immediate energy levels and long-term health outcomes. Environmental factors also influence sleep efficiency. A cool, dark, and quiet sleep environment supports the body's natural drop in core temperature that signals the onset of sleep. Exposure to ambient noise, light, or uncomfortable bedding can fragment sleep, reducing the proportion of restorative stages and impairing memory consolidation and hormonal regulation. Strategic use of blackout curtains, white noise machines, and temperature control can enhance sleep continuity and depth, improving overall vitality. Lifestyle behaviors prior to sleep significantly affect recovery. Consuming stimulants such as caffeine too late in the day delays melatonin production and reduces slow-wave sleep. Alcohol may help with sleep initiation, but fragments deeper sleep stages and impairs REM cycles, which are critical for emotional processing and memory consolidation. Evening exercise can be beneficial if timed appropriately, as it raises core temperature and promotes subsequent sleepiness, but overly intense sessions immediately before bedtime can interfere with sleep onset. Sleep also interacts with nutrition and metabolic function. Overnight fasting periods support metabolic health by promoting insulin sensitivity and activating autophagy, the cellular recycling process that removes damaged proteins and supports mitochondrial efficiency. Inadequate sleep, however, disrupts appetite-regulating hormones, increasing ghrelin and decreasing leptin, which can lead to increased hunger, poor food choices, and impaired glucose regulation. This shows that sleep is not isolated. It synergizes with other health behaviors to optimize energy utilization and tissue repair. Cognitive and emotional recovery during sleep is equally important. REM sleep, which occurs in cycles throughout the night, supports emotional processing, creativity, and problem solving. Disrupted REM impairs mood regulation and stress resilience, reducing perceived vitality even if total sleep time is adequate. Incorporating practices such as pre-sleep relaxation routines, mindfulness, or meditation can enhance the transition into restorative sleep stages and support parasympathetic activation. Optimizing sleep quality and recovery is therefore a multi-layered process that integrates circadian alignment, environmental control, behavioral timing, and lifestyle choices. By prioritizing these factors, the body's hormonal, neural, and cellular systems function efficiently, leading to improved energy, cognitive clarity, emotional stability, and long-term health outcomes. Sleep is not merely a passive state, it is an active period of regeneration and optimization critical for sustaining vitality. Social connection, purpose, and mental engagement are essential pillars of vitality and health because human biology evolved to thrive in social and meaningful contexts. The nervous system, endocrine responses, and even immune function are deeply influenced by the quality of our relationships and the degree to which we engage with purposeful activities. Loneliness or lack of meaningful engagement is not just an emotional concern. It is a physiological stressor that elevates cortisol, suppresses immune function, impairs sleep, and reduces overall energy. Conversely, strong social bonds and purposeful engagement activate reward circuits, regulate stress systems, and enhance resilience, forming a critical foundation for both short-term vitality and long-term health. Social interaction stimulates the release of oxytocin, a hormone and neurotransmitter that promotes bonding, trust, and emotional connection. Oxytocin not only supports feelings of closeness, but also reduces sympathetic nervous system activity, lowers blood pressure, and enhances parasympathetic tone, which is essential for recovery and stress regulation. Physical touch, eye contact, and meaningful conversation all contribute to oxytocin release, strengthening the perception of safety and support in the nervous system. These physiological effects illustrate why relationships are not merely a psychological preference. They directly influence biological systems that govern energy, recovery, and resilience. Purposeful engagement provides another key biological input. Activities that align with personal goals, values, or mastery create dopamine-driven motivation, sustaining focus, persistence, and a sense of reward. When the brain perceives that actions are meaningful and productive, it reinforces neural circuits that support motivation, goal-directed behavior, and adaptive decision-making. Without this sense of purpose, energy and vitality tend to decline because dopamine signaling is reduced, leading to decreased focus, mood dysregulation, and a diminished drive for daily activity. Combining social interaction with purposeful work amplifies these effects, as collaborative or community-based pursuits strengthen both reward circuits and oxytocin-mediated bonding. Cognitive engagement is equally important for sustaining vitality. Novel experiences, learning, problem-solving, and creative endeavors stimulate the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, promoting neuroplasticity and memory formation. Mentally challenging activities enhance BDNF release, which supports synaptic growth and neural resilience. Engaging the brain in meaningful tasks, especially in social contexts, synergistically supports both cognitive and emotional health, reinforcing a sense of competence and well-being. Social and purposeful engagement also act as buffers against chronic stress. Individuals with strong social networks and meaningful roles demonstrate lower baseline cortisol levels and greater capacity for parasympathetic activation. They recover more effectively from acute stressors, maintain more stable mood, and experience higher energy levels throughout the day. This effect is compounded when social interactions are supportive, reciprocal, and emotionally attuned, rather than competitive or conflict-laden. Lifestyle strategies that strengthen these systems include cultivating consistent social relationships, participating in group activities, volunteering, mentorship, or collaborative projects. Structured goal setting and engagement in personally meaningful challenges maintain dopamine tone and promote long-term motivation. Integrating novelty, learning, and skill development into these pursuits further enhances neural plasticity and overall vitality. The intersection of social connection, purpose, and mental engagement demonstrates that vitality is not only a product of physical systems, but also of relational and psychological inputs. The brain and body operate optimally when there is a balance of supportive social bonds, meaningful activity, and cognitive stimulation. Neglecting these inputs diminishes energy, impairs resilience, and accelerates age-related decline, while intentional cultivation of social and purposeful engagement enhances physiological regulation, emotional stability, cognitive function, and overall health. This illustrates that human vitality is fundamentally social, purposeful, and mentally active in nature. Ultimately, social connection, purpose, and mental engagement are not optional add-ons. They are central to the biological systems that govern energy, resilience, and long-term health. By cultivating meaningful relationships, engaging in purposeful activities, and challenging the brain with novel and stimulating experiences, individuals reinforce reward circuits, regulate stress responses, and support neuroplasticity. These practices create a positive feedback loop where vitality, focus, and emotional well-being are continuously strengthened. Prioritizing social and purposeful engagement ensures that health is not only maintained at a physical level, but is deeply integrated with mental, emotional, and relational flourishing, forming a holistic foundation for a long, energetic, and fulfilling life.